A very good evening, grade 7 students. This is the last of the types of rocks that we are going to study, and that's metamorphic rocks. Please open your course book to page 112. Please put today's date. Now, metamorphic rocks are the rocks which are formed as a result of complete change. Now, metamorphism is morphic, morphology, morphos means the structure. So, when there is a complete change of what existed before to the present condition, that is the phenomenon of metamorphosis. So, this word basically means that there is a complete change in these rocks from. Now, what are the other two types of rocks that we have studied? We've studied about sedimentary rocks and we've studied about igneous rocks. So, obviously, although this is a third category, it is formed from the parent rocks of either igneous or sedimentary rocks. Let's move ahead. So, how would you define metamorphic rocks? These rocks are changed rocks, and how do they get changed? Because it's all happening on either on the surface of the earth or deep inside. So the change is due to the high temperatures and pressure, and that is what makes them change to metamorphic rocks. What happens is that they squash the grains closer together whenever there is pressure and temperature. If there is temperature, high temperature, then the rocks could melt. If there is pressure, whatever space is there in between the particles would become lesser and the grains of the rocks would come still closer together. And as a result of this movement of coming closer together, the rocks will get hard. Yes, as they get hard, obviously you can see that there would be no gaps, or we say that the rock is non-porous. Here we are talking about, because you imagine sandstone, you remember? For the sedimentary rocks, we've said that these are formed from sand because of continuous sedimentation and pressure that was applied. Now here again, because there is involvement, it's a complete change. So that change involves pressure, or when you compress it, bring them together. So any kind of holes or pores or gaps that will be there would be gone. So we are going to study now the characteristics of metamorphic rocks. When I say characteristics, means how would you identify, how would you find out that, okay, this is a metamorphic rock. We found out how the characteristics of igneous rocks, we found out about sedimentary rocks. Now, how do we identify the change that has been made from these parent rocks into metamorphic rocks? So, they form deep underground. That's somewhere deep down where you have the magma, the hot surface interior of the earth. So there could be change from igneous rocks to form metamorphic rocks. But they also form near the earth's surface when the hot lava, you remember yesterday, in the first class for igneous rocks, we studied about the hot lava coming out. And when this lava sometimes can undergo changes, because as we are seeing currently, the earth and geography, or the phenomenon that occur on the earth, is completely unpredictable. Okay, so something like that, the hot lava flowing, can also bring about a lot of change. Now, the heat affects the rock and makes it change. Okay, so what happens? That the heat will affect the rock. Any heat will affect anything on which it falls. So it will change. And sometimes they are formed during an earthquake. Yes, what happens during an earthquake? I hope and pray that none of us have to experience an earthquake. Although I have experienced an earthquake, but it was a very small one. So on the Richter scale, they measure the earthquake on a Richter scale. And you just feel as if the whole world is trembling. We are already very scared because of this coronavirus thing, and I don't want to, put in any such thing into you, but earthquakes are terrible. So what happens is that during this time again, when the plates, the tectonic plates of the earth keep moving, and at that time the rocks are pushed against each other. So when they are pushed against each other, again they come closer to each other. So if they come closer to each other, what would happen? They will get squashed and folded. It's as similar to if you don't have space, right? And if you've got to accommodate within that space, then obviously, and there is more objects to be kept, everything would not be arranged nicely. Okay, just get that point. So that is how they get squashed and folded. Now the grains in the rocks may get crushed. So what happens as a result of it, of the squashing and folding? The grains that are present in the rock may get crushed. Okay, now with this information that I've given you until now, this is a very, very simple table that I want you to fill up. The three types of rocks. How does this rock form? I just want you to write down the points. What are the characteristics of this type of rock? Go back to the video of each of these types of rocks. Where can you find this type of rock? If you can give me the exact geographical location, like I'll give you an example. You obviously don't have igneous rocks here in Oman. What kind of rocks do we have? We have sedimentary rocks, and we do not have metamorphic rocks here, but it's mostly the sedimentary rocks. And what are the examples? So it's very simple. I would like you to fill this up. If you can fill it up here, I would be happy, but otherwise also I want you to please show me, send me a message, and you can write it in your notebook also. That would be fine. This is also a simple matching. Okay. Now, it's important that you know the difference between the sedimentary, metamorphic and the igneous rock. So, I just want you to know and, just match the attributes. Attributes also would mean the characteristics of these different types of rocks. Okay. Now, there are two examples. There are many examples of metamorphic rocks, but there are two examples of metamorphic rocks that I want you to know. And one of them is marble. It is formed from limestone. Okay, marble is formed from limestone. You can look at the picture that's given on page 112. So you see this limestone, which you can see it has lots of grains, and then there's an arrow. It shows that it's completely changed when it forms marble. Can you see that? So marble is formed from limestone. And what is the characteristic? That it is hard and it is non-porous. When I say it's non-porous, that means there are no gaps in between the marble particles. Or the second example is quartzite. What's it? Quartzite. Now this quartzite is also a metamorphic rock that is formed from sandstone. What is happening in sandstone? In sandstone, you've seen that the particles are sand grains, and there are very small gaps between them. Now, the quartzite, when it is formed from the sandstone, and if you expect that it will contain some of the characteristics of the parent rock, no, sadly it doesn't. It is completely different from the parent rock or the sandstone. Okay, now, question number 1, 2 and 3, very simple. So I want you to do this as your homework in the notebook. Please put the page number. You can also put a sticky note in page 112 and just write down the answers. I will give out the answers next period. Sorry, not in the next period, in the next week, because that's when we would be starting off with our revision. Okay. Now, these are just the examples. So, okay, so it's a simple topic again. What is important for you is to know how these three different types of rocks are formed. To find out and know the examples, I would be giving you some more worksheets tomorrow for the weekend. And then tomorrow I would be doing the topic of weathering. Okay, or maybe tomorrow I will be giving you a recap of whatever we have done until now. and then we'll move on to weathering on Sunday. Okay, hope you have had a great time today. Thank you. Stay blessed.